I was sitting in a Bible class the other day, and we had been going through this session as a class where we were talking about the ways that our lives needed to be changed and to be transformed in light of the gospel. And the teacher asked, after going through these weeks of the class, what things in our own lives did we feel like we needed to change? I thought that was such a hard question, and so as I was thinking about it, I saw a couple of ladies out of the corner of my eye. Their hands shot up. And they both immediately said money. Money was something that they recognized in their lives was something that they needed to think through. It was something that they needed to change in light of the gospel, in light of who Jesus was and what Jesus has done on this earth. And as I thought about it, I realized that there's a lot of us that wonder, what are we to do in the midst of our wealth? We are a people who have access to so many things. Having access to so many things and having wealth they're not bad things. But yet Jesus calls us to change and to be transformed, to be different than our culture when it comes to our money. And so we seek that balance. Paul, when he wrote to the Philippians, he told them to think not only of their own interests, but also of the interests of others. Later, when he writes to the church at Corinth, he tells them that Christ, though he was rich, for our sakes became poor. So it seems clear that with our money, we can't just be selfish with it. We're not just thinking about our own needs and our own wants and our own interests. And we have an obligation to others. But yet we struggle as Christians to know, where's that line? Where's that balance? How do we be responsible to our families? How do we enjoy the blessings that God's given us to enjoy, and yet to be responsible to others? You probably all know of churches or missionaries or individuals who are finding it difficult to do what God has called them to do because of lack of funding or because of a lack of resources. And so the question that we must ask of our money, is God benefiting, the kingdom of God, is it benefiting from our wealth? And if not, what do we need to do about that? I've spent the last 6 years living in the country of Papua New Guinea, a country where the average annual income is about $750 a year. And in the midst of that, I had to ask myself a lot of difficult questions about my wealth and about my responsibility to others. And as I struggled with that topic, as I studied about it, and as I prayed about it, what came out of that is the book called Transforming Your Financial Diet. A way I believe that we as Christians can find a way forward, living in the midst of our wealth, while also living with a responsibility and an obligation to others. My brother lost a bunch of weight a couple of years ago. He was overweight, and he decided to start exercising. He decided to start eating better. And I asked him one time, I said, what is the thing that's made the biggest difference? And I was expecting some sort of just, great answer. And he said something really simple. He said, we limit our portions. Instead of putting all the serving plates on the table, they get their individual plates ready and they put it on the table. And once they're done eating what they've set on their plate, they're done. They don't go back for seconds. That's it. And so he limited his portions, and I wondered if we as Christians could do something similar in our lives with our finances. Could we know how much was enough? Could we limit our portions? And could that be a blessing both in our own lives? Could that strengthen our relationship with Christ? And could that be a blessing with others? And so transforming your financial diet teaches us to increase in the grace of giving by learning the limits in our own lifestyles. And I want for just a moment to introduce you to 7 of the steps that I talk about in the book that I believe will be a blessing to both you and a blessing to fellow Christians as well. And the first is that we must take inventory of our blessings. I mean, if we don't realize that we're blessed, people will never look beyond ourselves. Whenever help is needed, we'll say, I can't help because I don't have enough. But yet, if we do, as the old song says, to count our many blessings, we will see that God has blessed us in so many wonderful and great ways. And the second thing, and any personal finance person you talk to will give you this same kind of advice, and that is that we must spend less than we earn. If we are spending more than our income, we won't be in control of our own family's finances, and there will never be any possibility to be generous in the lives of others, so we must spend less than we earn. The third thing is that we have to establish an eternal perspective. If you look around your room, and I can do it right now in my own room, everything I see, I know, eventually will be destroyed. Moths will eat it. Dust, fire, theft, anything can happen to these things. And what a futile life to live for those things that will not last. We must establish an eternal perspective. The fourth step, and I think this is the hardest of them all, is that we must determine how much is enough. How much is enough for you living in New York is going to be different than how much is enough for someone living in Colorado. And someone living in California, how much is enough will be different than somebody living in Wyoming. But we all need to know how much is enough. I'm sure you've seen the cartoons where the man sits on a donkey and he holds a stick, and the stick has a carrot dangling in front of it, and the donkey walks the whole journey just trying to get to that carrot, but he never gets there, and he never gets any closer. Sometimes our finances is the same way. We pursue and we move forward and we earn more and we buy more, and yet there's always something more we want. But when we determine how much is enough, we stifle those desires in our hearts, and we can begin to be ready to be content. And so the next thing is to determine portions and set limits. How much are you going to spend on the things around you? How much will you spend on vacations? And how much will you spend on beautifying your home and decorating your home? And how much are you going to spend on entertainment? We set limits in our lives, and we say that this is enough in my income, and this is enough in my spending as well. And the sixth step is the stuff purge, where we look around and we see, there's some things in my house that I have no idea why I bought it. I have no idea why I still have it. And we recognize those things that don't add any value to our life, and we stop, first of all, consuming those things, but we also clear ourselves of those. And as we go through the process of releasing those things we have, we'll be able to release more into the hands of others and into the kingdom of God. And the seventh step is to pursue a profession and a mission that fits your call in life. I mean, to work just to make money, it's futile, it's empty. But yet God gives us the opportunity to do things for His kingdom and for His glory. And that's where we need to be spending our time as we earn money, is in things that give glory and honor to God. And that's what I want to do through the Transform Your Financial Diet book and the Transform Your Financial Diet seminars. I want to challenge Christians to accept these principles and to adopt them into their lives, and to see that they're blessed through it, and that the kingdom of God is blessed through it, and that others are blessed through it as well. Because I want for all of us to excel in what God calls the grace of giving.